Okay, so Ren Jialun, born April 11th, 1989, so this year he turned 33. He's married to the actress who I'm afraid to say her name because I'll probably say it wrong. Niehuan, I'm guessing, Niehuan. Their story of how they got together is adorable. His attitude toward her and her attitude toward him is like epic, especially in light of fans being disgustingly cruel to them because it's not fair that he's young and adorable, but now he's taken. How dare he? Don't get me started on all of that, but you should go and look up their story sometime because they are adorable. Everything she's done for him and what he's done for her, it's so cute. To me, it is so touching and it is so sweet and it is so cute. And they have a son who was born February 2nd, 2018. But you'll probably never find pictures of him because that's their personal life, so that's about as much as you're going to get from that. So, and it's their right to hide stuff. Everybody, I don't care, everybody, whether they're a celebrity or not, has a right to have private information and a private life. It doesn't matter if they've put themselves in a spotlight. Spotlight is only this big, you know. You have no right to insert yourself into every aspect of their life just because they've allowed you to see this much of it. So, again, back off. Okay. After that spiel, let's get into this and see if I can finally do this. And it's probably going to be a really long video because I'm a deep thinker and I want to try to get deep into this, and I'm probably going to forget a whole bunch of details and stuff that I wanted to say because I'm still going to be trying to hurry even though I don't want to hurry. And I'm forgetful, and like I say, this all started like 3 months ago. So I'm probably going to forget stuff and then be really irked later on because I forgot stuff. We'll see. Speaking of things that I'm forgetting, before I forget for the millionth time, something I find super interesting. When I said that actors tend to, without meaning to and without knowing it, influence their character, human beings have habits, things that they end up doing, like little movements they make or little whatever that are part of them. Then they play their characters, they tend to, without meaning to, have like a character ends up with that same personality quirk that the actor has, because quite often it's an unconscious habit that the actor has. And so when you're watching all their different characters that they've played, a bunch of different characters have those same habits and quirks, if you're watching for them. And that's not a fault of the actor, but at the same time, one thing that I did notice with Jialun, when I've seen him on behind the scenes things and in interviews and in live streams that he's done and in all kinds of other stuff, there's this thing he does, like he's blinking, like his eyes are dry or like he's bothered by the contacts he's wearing or something, where like he goes like that a lot, like a lot, even on variety shows. I've seen him do it a lot, to the point where it kind of seems like it's unconscious and he doesn't know how much he's actually doing it. But the really funny thing is, I have never, not even once, not even halfways, have I ever seen any of his characters do that. Not one of them. Wow. It seems like it's an unconscious habit that he's doing without even thinking of it because he just does it so much, and yet none of his characters do it. That's impressive. And yeah, when you can get your characters to be physically unique too, like there's only one of his characters that is so shy that he's constantly licking his lips and sighing and all kinds of stuff because he's so nervous, because he's so shy. And there's only one of his characters that, well, a bunch of them do have their hands on their hips sometimes. There's only one of them that is constantly standing with his hands on his hips, like all the time does he have his hands on his hips. I thought maybe that having a hand or two hands in his pockets at all time was unique, but no, never mind. That was just the first character that I had seen that had pockets, because all the other ones that I'd seen before that were like, what do you call them? Older stories where they're in the older garb, so they don't have pockets. Once I started getting to his modern day characters that have pockets, like that's a trait of most of them. Most of them have their hands in the pockets at some point. But So, like, not every character is unique in the physical way they stand or sit or anything like that, but even there, he does have a little bit of uniqueness between them. And I noticed that for sure with those two characters at the very least, where they're the only ones that are like that. I'm like, that's pretty good. So, really quickly, the things that he's been in, because I've seen most of the stuff he's been in, but there's a few things that I haven't because I can't, or because I just haven't yet. So I'll just really quickly kind of tell you what he's been in the order that he filmed them, and then we'll go from there. The first thing that he played in was Noble Aspirations in the year 2016. He plays the six-tailed fox Lue. Noble Aspirations is, really quickly, I'll tell you what each of these stories is about. It's what they call a wuxia story. That's one of the things, and it's like a romance and a fantasy and stuff like that. The main character went through a tragedy when he was a child. He had his best friend from childhood, and yet he got separated from his best friend for a few years, and when they got back together, they grew up in different sects, cults. To train to become, like, it's one of those ones where they're like cultivating their inner energy and whatever, like. But anyway, childhood tragedy when he was 11 years old, and then as he grows up, other stuff is happening, and he's like being influenced by the evil side and trying to fight against that and all of that kind of stuff. So I've talked about this one before, and there's so much more I could say about it. In case you can't tell, I'm not impressed about it. If you see my other videos, you know why. Like I say, Lue is not in very many episodes. He is Jialun / Lue is not in season 2. My drama list has season 2 listed under Jialun, and they shouldn't have listed it under there because he's not in it. He's named in reference to where he is and what he's doing at one point, but he himself is not in it. So it should not be listed as one of Jialun's dramas because he's not in it. He is in number 1, but only for, I can't remember exactly how many episodes. There's maybe 5 or 6 episodes that he's in, and it's a 58 episode drama. So he's not in very much of it at all. That's why I say it's a big character. And also because of that, that's basically all I'm going to say about that guy. That character. Where did it go? Yeah, he's not in it. He's not big enough for me to really talk about it. He doesn't really live up to his name because he's how old and he's how powerful. And I know what happens to him, why it happens to him, but at the same time, it seems a little bit. And yeah, that's another thing I was gonna say, like, about Jialun's characters. Even if the type of character is the same, like when it comes to the different stories that he's in and how different they are, even what his character does for a job is not very repetitious. There's a few characters that have very similar jobs and a couple that have the exact same job, basically. But half the time, even if it's basically the same job, one of them is in the past and one of them is current. Like, I don't know what to call it. Not ancient drama, not historical drama. What's the word for it when it's like back in like old days? Like really old, when they all had long hair and they all wore their robes and all that kind of stuff. And then there's also the middle age, like 1940s-ish and that kind of thing. So that's kind of old days, but not as old. And then there's current days. So there's like 3 different, and like I call it like because the Ming Dynasty and the Tang Dynasty and all that stuff, like all of that is like a big lump for me back here where they all way back there. And then there's like kind of the middle ground, and then there's current. Chusen is one of the like old. There's current, old, and old. I guess that's all I can say because I don't have. What was I saying? Oh, but most of his characters most of his characters have completely different jobs. And a lot of them. The funny thing is that I noticed that all of his characters, I haven't come across one yet that has a biological sibling. Some of them have like adopted brothers. Don't think any of them have a sister. even an adopted sister, and none of them have a biological sibling. I didn't look to see if it's half and half or what the ratio is to how many of them have both parents left, how many of them only have one parent left, and how many of them are orphans. I didn't actually look at that, but you'll see as we go through, because I marked family because I was trying to see differences in characters. So I tried to say something about their character. I said something about the love relationship there is, because that is the one stereotype that Jialun is in, is romances. Just about every drama he's ever played in, there is a romance, and usually it's like one of the, if not the main focus of the show. There's only one character that had no romance, and two characters where you barely saw the romance. Because it was not the main focus of the show, even though it was there through the whole show, and we get there. And then I went over what their family life is like-ish, and what kind of job they do. So Lue, the six-tailed fox, if he had a job, it would be a doctor, because when he's first introduced, he's a doctor. And the only family he has, he does have a mother, but she's been in captivity for something like 300 years. And he does have an adopted younger brother. And since he's a six-tailed fox, that means that this character is not in any way, shape, or form human. But that's as much as I can really tell you about him. So that's about as much as I will talk about him. The next thing that Jialun played in was Memory Lost, also in 2016. That show has 3 seasons, each with 12 episodes, and he plays a support character, but I don't even know how many of those he's actually in, because if you go on Aichia, only season 2 is listed under Jialun, and I don't know if that means he's actually only in season 2, or if they just didn't list the other 2 that saying that he's in it, because here again, my drama list has all 3 of them listed, but considering what I know they did with Noble Aspirations, I can't trust that. Is he in all 3 seasons, or is he only in season 2? No clue. I'm eventually going to watch that one because the main character is played by another actor that I have seen in something, and the story sounds interesting enough. I'm probably going to watch it, but I have no idea when. Especially since he's only a support character. Like, he's only in a few episodes, or is he kind of always there, but he's just a background wallpaper? No idea. I'll get there when I get there. But I can't say anything else about that. The next thing he played in was 2017. He played in The Glory of the Tang Dynasty. Season 1 had 60 episodes, and Season 2 has 32 episodes. That one is about... It tells the life of a woman, intelligent and kind, who becomes a concubine of the inner court, while her love for the people enables her to do great things for the country. It's standard palace politics that we've all heard before, but also the kind of story that can be so addictively good. That's what my drama list says. I wish like crazy that I could watch this one. Jialun plays Li Chu, who is one of the 2 main characters. He's the prince. I've seen maybe half of the first episode, but the problem is I cannot find this one with English subtitles. It's 82 episodes long. I don't think I have the stamina to watch that when I don't know Chinese. I'm learning the Hanja, so I have some vague idea, and I know words and sentences here's and there's, but I don't think I have the stamina to go through 82 episodes not really having a clue what they're saying. And that one's like really politicky, so it's like, you know, and it's older days, so it's probably like slightly different kind of speech, so it'd be like really, really hard to watch without English subtitles, so I'm probably never going to get to watch it, which sucks, because I want to see him play in that one. It looks like it's an interesting enough story. In 2017, he played Li Jing, probably butchered that name, in Legend of Dragon Pearl, The Indistinguishable Road. But in that one, again, he's just a support character. I have no idea. It's 90 episodes long. I don't know if he's throughout as wallpaper or if he's just in a few episodes. No idea. So, like, and the story of that one doesn't sound very interesting to me. The story of the ill-fated romance between this person and the last princess of the Ming Dynasty and Kangji, the young emperor of the Qing Dynasty. I'm like, a 90-episode drama about politics and romance? No, thank you. No, thank you. So the story itself does not interest me, and Jialun is a support character, so probably never ever going to watch that one. Especially when I have so many other dramas that I want to be watching. So, moving on. In 2017, Jialun played the main character, Di Renjie, in Detective D. Here again, This one is 66 episodes long, and I cannot find it with English subtitles. I have found the first 14 episodes with English subtitles. One of the differences with this one is that these episodes are only 30 minutes long, and if you take the song out of it, it's only about 25 episodes long, or 25 minutes long each episode. So I am probably going to try to keep watching this one, even though from 15 up to 66 there's going to be no English subtitles and I have to go by the Hanja alone, but I'm so curious about this one. It's a drama that follows Empress Wu Zetian, Emperor Gaozong, and Di Renjie on his various exploits covering cases from the Buddhist monastery to the events leading to the deposing of Empress Wang to plots to usurp the throne. It's a detective story, and I like detective stories. And it's an old day one. And so far I have watched 2 episodes, was it? Did I complete 2 episodes? Yeah, I think I completed 2 episodes and a little bit of another one. And so far it does look interesting, and his character looks very interesting in it. I'm like, that is quite the introduction to you, dude. When they go to the jail, because he's supposed to be in jail, and the guy walks in and goes, "Hi, take me to where Di Renjie is." And he's like, "Okay, just a second," grabs the key, goes and locks himself in the bars, locks the key and locks it and throws the key onto the keyhole, and the guy's like, "Huh?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's me." And he's like, "Oh, what? Just, huh?" And the guard comes over and says, "Yeah, it's because he's been a detective here for like a year, and he is so completely, like, so honest that we all know that he will not run away from the jail cell, or even though he's, like, wrongly put in there, and he's actually innocent and is framed, there's no way that he'll run away, and we all know that, so, like, we didn't bother locking the door on him." Like, my gosh. Okay. So he's a character that, he's like a scholar, what they call the people back then, so he's all, like, book learned, and he's like, "Yeah, I've, like, read some books on, martial arts and stuff, but I have no motivation to actually do it," because he uses his brush, and he uses his brains, and he's one of those ones, you know, those, like, when you watch on the internet and stuff, and you find those videos of, like, you're following the ball along, and it's, like, dropping here and setting off that and doing that and all that kind of stuff. There was that whole scene where he's, like, running away from 22 soldiers that are trying to kill him, and he runs down this alley, and, like, as he's running, he's glancing at all this stuff, and he knows exactly what to do to wipe out the 22 people and escape alive. I'm like, that was pretty epic, but it was also pretty destructive. Incredibly destructive, but... So I'm like, okay, so that's the type of person he is in that one, apparently. It's always hard to tell. The problem is, it's always hard to tell within the first few episodes, and quite regularly, I love a show up to a certain point, and then it starts going haywire, and I'm like, what happened to the show? Because, like, I found that in TV. They tend to show one thing, or they, like, amplify certain things because they're trying to get people hooked into watching it, and then from there, go away, text. And then from there, that one's too long to read right now, it like mellows out and starts doing things that irritate me or just aren't, I don't know. It's not as, like, big and flashy and epic because they've got people's attention now, so they can mellow out and do whatever. So overall, I can't say anything more about what I think of that character because I don't know what else happens in that show. So that's literally all I can tell you about that, because I've only seen, like, 2 episodes in about 5 minutes of the 3rd, and it's going to be very hard to watch the rest of it because most of it doesn't have English subtitles. The next one that Jialun played in was in 2018, and it's called The Destiny of Whitesnake. It is 61 episodes long, and he plays the main character in it. My drama list has a long description about it. Master of Medicinal Valley and disciple of the Jade Emperor. Oh my gosh, the Jade Emperor. Ji Xuan was well on his way to becoming a deity when he met Bai Yao Yao, a little white snake spirit roaming the mortal realm as a human. Yao Yao had no intention of falling in love with a mortal, but sometimes the best things in life happen when we least expect them. Already, so much of the setup of this story. Entwined by fate. Oh my gosh, such a big trigger word. Ji Xuan and Yao Yao should have had a beautiful life together. If it's following fate, I guess they shouldn't have if fate dictated otherwise. Fate stories are so intensely contradictory. But When Demon Catcher Fa Hai finds the two together, he becomes obsessed with tearing them apart. Of course. Desperate to save the life of the mortal she loves, Yao Yao breaks the heavenly seal, inadvertently releasing chaos and destruction upon the human world. Oh, for the love, we'll do anything. In order to save the world, Ji Juan sacrifices himself, himself, of course, leaving the devastated Yao Yao to face a dismal eternity alone. Of course. 1,000 years pass before Yao Yao allows herself to walk among men once more. As she travels, she finds Ji Juan, now reborn as Zhu Jian, and now we have reincarnation too. Though Zhu Jian remembers nothing from his past life, well, duh, they never do. Yao Yao remembers everything. Well, why wouldn't she? She never died. And vows that this time things will be different. So, in case you couldn't tell by how tense it got, the whole story of that one sounds incredibly frustrating. So it's going to take me a while to build up to being able to handle a story like that. But I do want to watch this one eventually, or at least give it a try, because sometimes, even if they're like that, they can surprise me with being... I've never seen the main actress in anything else, I don't think, but Jialun plays the main character, Ji Juan / Zhu Juan. But then we also get tricky again, because the main bad guy is played by Mao Ji-jun, who played Wu Yan in Legend of Chusen / Noble Aspirations. And I don't know if I've said enough in my other videos to tell you how emotionally attached I got to that character. But if nothing else tells you, it should tell you something that I made an entire music video dedicated to that character. Do I really want to sit through him being a bad guy that's like up against Jialun, who I am also emotionally attached to? So I do want to watch this one, but it's going to take a long time. If I want to be able to enjoy it, it's probably going to take a bit of mental before I can actually watch it. So that's all I can tell you about that one. In 2019, Jialun played in Lost Tomb 2. He played Xiao Yu. That show is 40 episodes long, and here is the most complicated one that you can ever play in. My thoughts on his character. The only thing I can tell you is he is not a big enough role. He's only in a few episodes. The rest of the story completely outdoes him. The book's reality on top of the show's reality. This is the one character he played where he literally has no love interest. It doesn't come into it. He's too small, and it's focused on, like, his friendship. I don't know if it's actually reached the level of them considering themselves brothers, but they're definitely pretty good friends. So there is no she. His job is a businessman, and his family is his mother, who is unhealthy. She's got dementia and all that stuff, and she's not doing too good. And I don't even remember whether it was his uncle or it was his dad. I think it was his uncle went missing, and he's trying to figure out how and where and why and if he's still alive and etc. The problem with that one that I can't tell you any more about this drama, that character, the reason that he got completely overshadowed is because it's part of the Grave Robber Chronicles. That series it's not just a series, it's a huge world that the author has used well over 10 years to build. So it's massive. There's so many characters in it. You have the whole world of the books, and then you have the whole ridiculously complicated world of the TV series, as if the books weren't complicated enough, because the author keeps starting stories and dropping them, starting a different one. So they're all somewhere within the timeline, and they all fit together somehow. But exactly where some of the stories fit is beyond me, and he keeps, because it's so long and there's so many things that he's never properly explained, I'm almost to the point of believing that the author does not have a timeline actually set up for himself, so he keeps forgetting what's where. And there's details that sometimes contradict themselves, and there's like abysses where stuff falls into it and you're like, oh, and then he like brings stuff back out of the blue, and like there's one character recently in a story that he's writing this year that he just like, bombshell, she's still alive. I'm like, what? And that's just the books. And then you get the TV show, which was originally someone bought the rights to the show and started off with like Lost Tomb 1 and Lost Tomb 2 and Explore with the Note, and they did all of those things, and they went off on total tangents of their own, especially Explore with the Note. If you're ever going to watch the whole series of that, just skip Explore with the Note, because it's horrible. I watched it like almost a year ago the first time, and then I just recently watched it again with my younger sister because she was finally curious enough to watch it. I wouldn't let her watch it the first time we were going through it because no, it spoils this and it spoils this and it spoils this and it goes off the deep end. I don't know what they did with that show. It was insane. They started off, they could have done something really good with it, but it's like they gave up halfway through and were just like, we don't care anymore. So it was just like, bleh, and everything was just like, it doesn't even make sense anymore. And the ending of it, they literally kill a character that is alive and well in the next season. So like, oh yeah. So, and then, and then the author got rights back to it. I forget exactly when. And they've got so many series and so many movies. And it's just intense, and they're like literally sections of the story have never been made into the show, so it's a really cool series for you to go and watch, and I recommend people go and watch it because it's well done and it's really cool how big and epic this world is. But at the same time, if you're not going to go and read the books, you are going to get lost because the series itself, like putting it onto TV, is literally missing chunks that they haven't made, so you're skipping years and you're skipping super important events between stuff because of that. So just watching the show itself, just watching TV, not going anywhere near the books, you're going to get lost, which is really sad. And also why I would love to do a big long series comparing the books and the shows and where they contradicted, where they went off, why there's loopholes, what happened over here, to explain the whole thing and like make something where like if you like watching the series and then you watch this video of mine and then you watch this series and watch this video of mine in order to fill in the gaps, it would be so cool, but it would take so much intense work, and my sister seemed interested in helping me do it, but like literally it would take so much intense work. You can look up online, you can go and find their the author himself. There is an officially English translated 6 books, I think it is, which yes I own, and but those books are actually very, very different from the original, apparently. And there's the originally published Chinese books, which are, like I say, much bigger. And I own those too. Most of them. Not all of them, but I own a bunch of them. But see, this author himself puts everything up for free online. He like originally writes it online as he's writing. He's releasing what he's writing as he's releasing it. This is the way he's done it for years. So everything he writes is online for free. I found a website where a fan who doesn't know Chinese, but for the past few years she's been using all kinds of translating websites and tips and all that kind of stuff. She's translating everything he writes. So she doesn't make any money off of it. She's being an honest fan and not making money. She has no profit. This is all in her spare time. She is epic, in my opinion, to take on a task like this. And like, there is so much of the story that I would have no idea about if she hadn't been doing that for me, for us, anybody that wants to read it. You can go and look her up online and find her and read the books for yourself if you'd like to. She's done an amazing job, but I don't know if I'm supposed to link to her. I don't know if I don't have her permission to do that, so I'm not going to directly link to her. You just go and look her up. You'll find it. Grave Robber Chronicles. So that's a whole completely separate tangent that I had to go on to explain why I cannot talk about Xiao Yu. Jialun played that character. It's not like I don't like that character or anything. He did a fine job, but he is so overshadowed by everything else that like you literally forget he exists. I'm like looking him up when I was watching like Legend of Chusen and all this stuff, and I'm like, who is Xiao Yu? Who is Xiao Yu? And I'm like, ask my sister, I'm like, who is Xiao Yu? I've seen Lost Tomb 2 twice. 3 times. I watched it through myself, and then I kind of skipped through it once myself, and I've watched it with my sister. I've watched it 3 times, and I couldn't remember who Xiao Yu was. I'm like, who is Xiao Yu? Not only is he a small character, he also isn't in the books. He's completely 100% made up for the show. So, that's all I can say about him. Good job, Jialun, but who is Xiao Yu? But, after that, in 2019 as well, this isn't the first main role that he played. Like I say, he was in a few others and he was a main role in them. But finally, we get to ones that are easy for us to find with English subtitles, so we can actually watch them all. And like, there's a whole reason, like I say, the story with his wife, that plays a big part into why, I'm sure, why you can't find Glory of the Tang Dynasty and Detective D with English subtitles, because for one thing, even if he was a main role in those, he wasn't as well known, and then stuff blew up with his wife around the time of the Glory of the Tang Dynasty, so he basically got canceled because of her. Go look it up yourself. So, from here, so from here on, these are the main ones I'm focusing on to tell you about the characters and stuff. So I'm just going to name them in order that he did them, and then from there, we're actually going to like mix them all up and go into sort of, kind of, basically my least favorite to favorite and why, and I'll go into the stories at that point. But because I started out on the what has he played in order of when he played them, I'll just list these ones now. 2019, he played Lu Yi in Under the Power, which is 55 episodes long. 2020, he played Yi Chong in Autumn Cicada, which is 49 episodes long. 2020, he played Na Lan Yue, one of the coolest names ever, / Lin Jing in Love a Lifetime, which is 45 episodes long. In 2021, he played Gu Chuan in Miss Crow with Mr. Lizard, which is 36 episodes long. In 2021, he played Lu Yuanwen or Mu Qing in Never Say Goodbye, which is 47 episodes long. In 2021, he played Zhou Shengchen in One and Only, which is 24 episodes long. Also in 2021, he played Zhou Shengchen in Forever and Ever, which is 30 episodes long. Funny thing is, One and Only is season 1, Forever and Ever is season 2, but apparently if you look at behind the scenes stuff and all that stuff, they actually filmed them the other way around. They filmed Forever and Ever before they filmed One and Only, even though One and Only was released before Forever and Ever because One and Only is the first season and Forever and Ever is the second season, but they filmed them backwards. In 2022, he played Chang Yi in Blue Whisper Part 1 and Part 2. Together, they're 42 episodes long. In 2022, he also played Li Jichang in Blue Flame Assault, which is 33 episodes long. In 2022, he played... Oh, I forgot those were the same year. Oh my gosh. He played Lu Yan in 1,000 Years for You, which is 36 episodes long. That's the first one for me personally that I watched while it was being released. So I had to wait between days to see the next episodes. And then next year is the release date, 2023, for the drama The Demon Hunter's Romance, and he plays Xuan Ye in the main role, and that one's 36 episodes long. And since I can't tell you anything about this because it hasn't been released, all I can tell you is that my drama list says about the forbidden romance between a black leopard demon and the fairy soul of the fairy soul and a human girl with a demonic heart. My gosh, there we go again with that is going to be a frustrating story to watch, but I will at least give it a shot because he plays the main character in it. So there's no actual release date for that one, so I can't tell you anything about that one. And then it's also got like 4 to be announced things that he's going to be playing in. So, already done a lot of talking. And I haven't got technically into, well, yeah, I kind of have. That's as much as I can tell you about any of the characters from the ones that I haven't seen, and why I haven't seen them, and the bit characters that he plays. Now we're going to get into the fun stuff of the actual main roles that he's played that I have lots to say about. So,